Setting up meeting, YouTube Live.
We're live.
Yep. You're live.
Okay, I got you.
Hear us?
Okay. We good to go?
We're good. Let's start it.
All right, here we go.
This thing live.
All right. Welcome into another one. How about it, DH?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of DND Dynamite 80s. I'm DH,
And I'm DC.
and we're here to take another fantastic look back at one of our favorite eras, the 80s. Full of fun and frivolity. DC, I'm not even going to ask you how the week went this week because we don't really care. I want to get into the show. I'm excited to get this one rolling. So without any further ado, I'm going to slide it over to you, and let's get the introduction and get moving.
All right. We are pleased to have joining us from Gillsburg, Mississippi. We got Dwayne Easley, Gene Odom, and Dennis Wilson. Also, we've got the gentleman from High Noon, and that would be Terry. And who's our other one from?
Steve.
Yes, Steve. Thank you, Steve. And then on the West Coast, we got the guys from Skynyrd, right?
That's right.
All right. Gentlemen, we appreciate y'all taking time tonight. I apologize for the issues here. And if I'm a little bit off, I'm hearing this twice. So I apologize. All right. Let's start with this first. Gene, how about those early years? I've got to ask this first and foremost. I've been curious about this. Did you actually have Coach Skinner for a teacher?
No, I didn't. I didn't get that far in high school. I was taken out in the 9th grade, but Lynyrd was at late high school. And if you went to high school, it was the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I didn't get to high school. Ronnie had Lynyrd Skynyrd, and Gary had Lynyrd Skynyrd, and Larry Jutstrom, I think, Larry Johnston too. But Ronnie had him briefly before Ronnie got his girlfriend pregnant and had to leave school. So right about the time Lynyrd Skynyrd became the coach and teacher at Lee, Ronnie left shortly after that.
I found that that's
coming through.
Yes, I got you there. I thought that was a really cool story of how the band, about the name. Can you tell me a little bit about how the band actually came together?
Well, that goes back a ways. First, to start the conversation, you got to start with what Ronnie wanted to do early on. I guess y'all are aware of the name Cassius Clay, which later became Muhammad Ali.
Right.
Early on, Ronnie wanted to be a boxer, and his first trip to the boxing ring was with a fellow named Estes Godwin, which was a couple years older than us, a little short, stocky, mean as hell guy, beat the hell out of Ronnie. So Ronnie decided he didn't want to be a boxer after that ass. So his next thing was he loved the Green Bay Packers. He wanted to be a running back. So at Lee High School, he made the team, and the first practice game from scrimmage, Ronnie got the ball, got tackled and broke his ankle, and they had to put some pins in it. So that made him not be able to play football. Plus it made him 4F so he wouldn't be drafted. So then Ronnie, I think about 64, Ronnie Ronnie Van Zant, Bill Fairs, a good buddies of Jim Daniels. They went to school together. They went to see the Rolling Stones, came to the stadium in Jacksonville in '64. And so Ronnie seen Mick Jagger dancing around on stage, singing and dancing around. So Ronnie came back and said, I want to be a singer. I want to start a band. So that started it right there.
Yeah.
He started putting the band together, got Gary, and then Larry Johnstrom, and then needed a drummer and playing baseball. And he hit Bob Burns in the shoulder with the baseball and found out who Bob was, the drummer. So Bob became the drummer. And then I had to get Alan Collins and had to take a little time to get Alan, but he finally got Alan. We captured Alan on the ball field. He was pitching, and we run up and grabbed him and made him a member of Lynyrd Skynyrd. So that was the roots of the start of Lynyrd Skynyrd band. Ronnie Allen, Gary, Bob Burns, and Larry Johnson.
Wow. Fantastic. Let me ask this as well. What kind of got me to wanting to do this tribute show? And DH knows a little bit of the background of this. And we are school teachers, and we were on fall break, and the family and I went to Jacksonville for a week, and my son-in-law to be says, "Hey, I'm a Lynyrd Skynyrd fan. Let's look around, see if we can find some of the key spots, and that was the greatest day, I think, of the whole entire trip. It was a cool deal. We located where Hell House was at, got to stand on the dock. Of course, it's been redone, but that's just cool stuff to know where some of that stuff began, the roots of it. Kind of went down into the neighborhood where you guys grew up and all that stuff. And it makes you appreciate and understand the music a little bit better, about what they actually talked about and wrote about. Pretty cool. It was a pretty touching thing for me. Went by the cemeteries, where both cemeteries and all that. So, it was just, it gave you a different feel for the music, I guess, is the way to say it. So anyway, that's why we kind of put this deal together. Gene, I've heard several documentaries and stuff where you knew that plane was not safe several trips before that final trip. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah. That's pretty accurate, yeah. Are you getting that? Are you hearing this?
Yes.
Yes, sir. We're hearing you.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
All right, let me stop you there for a minute. When you mentioned about visiting those places, I do a tour around Jacksonville.
Okay.
And if anybody on this thing or anywhere wants to do a tour, they can go to hanginwithgeneodom@gmail.com.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Patty's phone number is 917-246-1114. She can set up a tour. And what was your other question? You just asked me, and I forgot. I'm worse than that damn Joe Biden.
No, I guarantee you're better than Joe is. That's for sure. I had seen several documentaries and read in several things that you knew. You had mentioned that plane was not safe for travel several trips before the final one. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah. I could tell was having problems with it. And when we got to Lakeland, when we left Lakeland, a big old ball of fire blew out the right engine. I come to find out that's called torching. And so they had a problem with the they thought it was with the magneto. And so they were running the plane in auto-rich position, which come to find out by running the engine in auto-rich position, burn an extra 89 gallons per hour each engine would burn. Nobody alive knows how many hours they ran the plane in auto-rich position. So after all the years of investigating and trying to find out what really happened and why we ran out of gas, is that they were estimating the fuel that they burned, taking off, landing, flight, and they knew about what the engine was burning and everything. So when we landed in Greenville, they thought they had approximately 170 gallons, should have been on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
My findings that when we landed in Greenville, they didn't know about 400 gallons in Greenville, and that should have flew that plane that distance. But we came up 10 minutes flying time short. So all my years of trying to figure out what happened, the best I can come up with, and mechanics and everybody, there's no way to determine it, but I feel that the right engine, auto-rich mechanism was malfunctioning. Instead of burning 29 gallons per hour, was burning approximately 35 to 40 gallons an hour, which burn up that extra 170 gallons that they thought they had. If the right fuel gauge would have worked, they could have seen that we was running real low on fuel, but the right fuel gauge didn't work. And they knew that, but they were estimating what they would burn and everything, you know. And right, probably 4 or 5 seconds before they died, I told them, I said, don't you wish you'd listen to me? You know, and then shortly after that, it was all over.
Yeah, yeah.
But I figured the auto-rich mechanism was what extra fuel.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. By the way, while Gene is still on there, I don't know if, it's not going to work very well. He's got several books that are out that he has co-wrote, and I'm enjoying them, Gene. I wish you were closer where I could get them signed by you. But they are, I am thoroughly enjoying the stories that are in them.
It's all true stuff. There ain't no BS in my books. It's all true.
I hear you. I hear you. I definitely get that for sure. I definitely get that. Gentlemen, Dwayne and Dennis Wilson, kind of talk to us about how you experienced your situation on October 20 of 77. You were working in the field, Dwayne, right? If I understand right. You can't hear Dwayne. Anybody else hear me?
Yeah, I still got.
Can't hear me? No?
No, you're loud and clear to us.
Okay. Dwayne, can you hear me? They may have a glitch.
We're waiting on their connection because I lost there for. Well, I want to.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you a little better now. Yeah, y'all having a little bit of Wi-Fi. And Dwayne warned me about that being out in the country.
Anyway, we came back this afternoon,
Not working too good.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not
We're not getting Dwayne.
While we're working on that, DC, I want to switch over to our other guest here for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate their patience. They figured out real quick we're not very good at this.
You're doing fine.
We do it for fun, but man, we apologize for taking up so much of your time.
Definitely. I would like to ask, what was the major reason why you started the tribute bands? Was it just the pure love of the Lynyrd Skynyrd music, or what kind of triggered that? I'm interested to see how that gets triggered.
Yeah. Anybody want to take that? Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll go around.
All right. Well, it's just the music I grew up with, right? And I think it's true of everybody in High Noon. The music, the sort of soundtrack to our high school lives. And I had speaking personally, I had a band in back in those days, and we played Skynyrd music and Allman Brothers and Marshall Tucker and those things, and loved it. And I've been playing ever since. And when the opportunity presented itself to put together a tribute act for this really special music a few years ago, we did it, and we got High Noon together, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful musical legacy to get to represent.
Terry, how long have you guys been together?
5.5 years, I think, roughly.
Yep. Awesome. Gentlemen, the West Coast group, talk to us about y'all's experiences.
Go ahead. All right. Well, we started out 18 years ago. Wow. And
congratulations.
Probably about 40 pounds lighter back then. But we started out, the love, just like he just said, the love of this music. And someone told me, I was in a band with one time, that it was the chances of putting this together with 9 or 10 people like this, because we're running the background singers, piano, all 3 guitars, trying to do it right. And someone told me one time that they tried it and it was just too hard. And it was impossible, was their words. So I got on my rollerblades. This is a standing joke because him and I used to be neighbors. And the first person I knocked on their door was Kurt here, the bass player. And I said, hey, I got this idea. And that's how it all started with me and Kurt. And it led into 18 years of festivals, meeting Gene Odom, bringing him out here, putting him, it just turned into a full-blown show, tribute show.
Yeah.
And, when we got the bus, 40-foot MCI bus, threw Gene on there and played some cards like he used to do with Ronnie and Gary and Alan and them. And
how cool is that experience?
Yeah. And he went with us, something that I'll carry with me the rest of my life. Yeah. I'm sure.
No doubt about it. No question.
We went from Reno to Bakersfield and cruising in the bus, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, when Larry came knocking on my door, I said, "You want to do what? You want to just play Skynyrd music and that's it?"
Yeah.
And now I wouldn't do anything different. I mean, it's great, and it never gets old, man. You do these shows, 2,500, 3,000 people or more, and everybody, you never get tired of it, which is amazing, And it's been good. It's been good for a lot of years.
That's awesome. DC, we have a first.
What's that?
We have, in the chat room, somebody's wanting to hear. So I'm going to ask this first time ever. So I'm going to ask this.
Well, maybe we are having a little success then. Go ahead. That's awesome.
They're wanting to know from each group, what is your favorite song to cover from the band?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'll jump in if you want.
Go right ahead.
I got 2 really, but Needle in the Spoon, it just sends such a message. And that guitar solo and that vocal in that key of D, it's so high and it's so hard to hit. It took me years to anyway, I'm the guy that dresses up like Ronnie. I don't look like this on stage. But, we go all out and do it. But Needle in the Spoon, and then the cover, I'm a honky tonk nighttime man. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. You're right. You're exactly right.
Steve,
what got you interested in playing this stuff?
Growing up on it and being a country boy, playing acoustic guitar, and I realized that, wow, you got to be a good guitar player to play this stuff.
Right.
So I said, let me try Hank Jr. And but you got to pull in real good guitar players.
Yeah.
To pull this off.
Yeah.
Sure. These guys will vouch for it. They've been doing it. Sure. I think you said 5 years.
Yeah.
They'll vouch for it. You gotta have guitar rehearsals. Right?
For sure.
Speaking of that.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Steve. Talk about the guitar part.
No, Terry and Scott and we basically before we spent a full year of rehearsing before we even played a live show, and a lot of that was Terry and
Unbelievable.
Scott really working together and making sure that the nuances were happening. And they're sneaky good, man. People don't realize, they take some of these songs for granted, the regular folk, and they hear Sweet Alabama, they play it wrong. You guys know that. They mock out Freebird, and people ask me all the time. I mean, do you ever get sick of Freebird? So I'll play it every day of my life, man, because the response that we get at the end of that night and how it's channeled through us is just an amazing feeling. And we're blessed to do it, right?
Yeah.
And it's difficult, man. I don't care how good of a musician you are. And I think folks underestimate sometimes how really sneaky good they are. That's what we talk about in our band a lot. It's like, man, I went back after all these years. I'm still learning parts that I didn't hear before.
Right.
And Terry, you could probably chip in and talk about what you and Scott, how much work that you put into it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I'm obliged to play the Steve Gaines and Ed King parts, and you all know I don't have to say anything more. Right. So, but it's great.
No,
it's great.
yeah, absolutely. Enough said there. That's true.
It's great stuff. And Steve probably has a different favorite. I was thinking about what's my favorite tune of the night. For whatever reason, Whiskey Rock and Roller. I just love when we get that thing grooving. I love that one. But Steve said it right. You a million cover bands, everybody plays Alabama, and they all play it wrong, man. If you go to a bar, it's never right. But we really worked to get all those details together. It's been very gratifying, particularly because there's something about the emotional connection that people have with this music that they don't have with anything else. And
That's
at
right.
the end of the night, when you get to meet the folks and you get grown men who are emotional because you brought them back, to high school, it's a great thing. It's really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys doing that stuff, man, because and that's part of what we wanted to talk a little bit about in y'all's segment, of course, was the legacy of the music. This is the only way that we can continue to have it, These younger generations, I hear it all the time, With my experience of what I do, I'll play something in class, at the end of class or something, and I'll have a kid interested. Well, what's that? Or what's this? They don't have a clue.
All right.
Never heard this stuff before. Because it's, and I'm sorry, a lot of it out there nowadays is just junk.
Yeah.
It's junk with a bad message. And, we've got to have guys like y'all that keep the music alive and going all the time.
Right. DC,
we appreciate what you guys do. Absolutely.
No DC, question. If you think about it, this music is 50 years old.
That's exactly right.
And if you
still
were to
powerful. Yeah.
transport yourself back to when you were 14 and you were first listening to this, what would have been 50 years old back then? I mean, it would have been, Al Jolson or something like that. It's quite old for younger people, but there is something about keeping it alive, being curating, if you will, a lost art form or an older art form and keeping it alive for people today and doing it right. And it's very gratifying to have that opportunity.
Sure. Sure. Gene and Dwayne and Dennis, can y'all hear us okay?
Yes, sir. Yes. Can you hear me, Wayne?
Okay. All right. Let's try your part again here a little bit. See if we can get it a little louder for you. Dwayne and I kind of read some of the stories in the background to your information. You were actually working a field on your property pretty close to where the crash actually happened. Is that right?
I want to hear from this guy.
Yep. Do you have a young lady there that can help with the volume? We're not getting volume from you.
Can you hear us?
Still can't hear you very well. We see you. We just can't, there's not very much volume.
His daughter's trying to figure this thing out.
Okay. Guys, while they're doing that, I'm fascinated what you guys brought up about the actual guitar part of this thing. So I assume that a lot of these, the original guys, they were self-taught, a lot of them. So you got Gary, you got Alan, you got Steve. So those parts are a lot more difficult because I'm not a musician. I could not tell you one thing about music. So from what y'all are telling me, that's some difficult guitar to make happen. Is that pretty accurate?
I think Steve and Terry there would agree that you take a song like Freebird, and I once heard Ronnie in an interview say, if you can count to 4, you can play Freebird. But what I've always said, and he's right, probably, but if you think about it, a 12-minute song like that, the long version, what's the long version? You guys could probably tell me. It's the 13 minutes, I think 13.6. But you know how long it takes to learn a song? It takes months. I'll try to learn a 13.6 minute song. And can we agree, you guys, Terry, and I think it's Steve, right?
Yes.
Look how long
for sure.
and learn those, like Ronnie was talking about in that interview, those blocks of 4. And Kurt being he's our musical director, and I personally think you've got to have a guy like Ed King that I understand was directing that, pretty much directing a lot of that music, if I'm correct. And, boy, do you need that in a band.
Yeah.
You need a pit bull like Kurt here to drop an elbow and keep us in check. So I always appreciate that. You guys got one of those, Terry?
Oh,
yeah. Well, yeah, he's not on the call.
He's not on the
Oh, okay. It's Steve.
Yeah. Well, I would say, Terry, for our band, I think you learn as you go along, man, that you have to have thicker skin. You're experienced musicians, and you got to be honest with each other, right, man? It's all about if something's not right, and you just got to handle it the right way. But you're right. You have to have that pit bull, and you have to constantly police yourselves, right, man? You have to go back and take a look. And Terry, how many times we talk about, going back and relearning and figuring out other parts and the way that we should be playing it, right?
Absolutely. I'm still finding nuances in those tunes. I've played them 1,000 times, and I keep trying to, it's an incremental improvement all along to try to get every last little bit of juice out of each one of them. So.
I mean, it's the people, you guys, right? I mean, when you hear the fans come and talk to us, and especially at the end of shows, right? I mean, you got to be as exact as you can, because this is transporting them back to a special time in their lives. And they remember everything, man. They come and tell you that. And so when you truly move somebody, you're doing the right thing. It's worth every second of relearning something 100 times until you get it right, right?
Fascinating.
What's your guys' website so I can follow that?
Look for highnoonrocks.com.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we're going to give all you guys a chance to give a shout out for how to follow you guys and follow your work.
That's great.
Gene and Dwayne. Dennis, can you hear us better now?
We got to get them in here.
Can you hear me?
It's getting a little better.
You said that an hour ago. It ain't got no better. I don't know. Well, Joey lives out in the woods, back in the woods. It may be the connection.
Right. I hear you. No, it's a little better now. Dwayne, I'm going to try it again here. That's what happens when you do stuff like this live, I guess. I read that you were working on your farm in a field close by where the plane crashed. Is that correct? Is the mic actually on the computer?
All right, what about now?
It's a little better.
Yeah,
There you go.
okay. Really? Gotta be close to it, maybe.
Yeah, you
We're
do.
working in the field. Working in the fields of Lynyrd. We had me and my friend had gone deer hunting, both hunting. We came back early because it was so warm. And we actually came to this town. My mother and dad lived in here. And we heard a helicopter go over, go to the south. And about the same time, the telephone rang and somebody told us the plane was coming down in our direction. So that's when we went out and started trying to find it. But we couldn't possibly find it until the helicopter came back and stopped with a big spotlight. And then that's how we knew where it was at.
Oh, okay. Okay. So a helicopter actually helped kind of spot the location. Gotcha.
Oh, yeah. We
Okay.
never would have, thousands of acres of timber.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, that was the next question I had was, you've heard some of these stories where they were close to an opening that they possibly could have landed a little better, but it just didn't make it. And it was, and it was a wooded area. So, so you get there and start just trying to help people.
Yeah. They were close to the field, but, we just didn't know they were there. We didn't know where they were. The
Yeah.
helicopter did find them. Yeah,
Okay.
we got there and me and my buddy Wayne, we came in, the plane crashed facing north. So we came in on the east side. And when we walked up, I saw one other guy coming from the west side. And within a few minutes, there were, several guys there.
Okay.
But, yeah, I could hear people inside, calling for help and all that. So within just a few minutes, I climbed up on the plane and went inside and started trying to pull people out. I couldn't get them out, and then one of my neighbors, Gerald Wall, got up there with me, and he told me to cut the seatbelts. So once we cut the seatbelts, we started pulling people out.
Okay, so I had heard where some may have been strapped in and some may have not. So in the front of the plane, the part that you were at, there were people that were strapped in like they were supposed to be. So that's good. Yeah.
Most of them were strapped in, but I can tell you that the ones that weren't strapped in,
Yeah.
that I saw, were deceased.
Yeah. It's got to be, I don't know, just something that sticks with you, like it's brand new, like something that you can never forget about, right?
In one way, it's like yesterday.
Yeah.
In another way,
Sure.
it's like forever.
Sure.
But I remember every detail. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Ironically, and we're going to talk about the monument here in just a second. It's a beautiful monument. I've actually got one of the Lynyrd Skynyrd Monument shirts on tonight. And you can go to the Lynyrd Skynyrd Monument website, and they'll take you donations to help keep that thing maintained. And if you have not seen it, get online. It is a beautiful, beautiful tribute to those folks. Dwayne, how did y'all decide to kind of, and thank you very much, because the way I understand it, you and your wife donated the land it sits on.
Yeah, we did. The way it got started is one of the road crew guys, 2018, we're having a get together. So he mentioned that most famous plane crashes have a monument or some kind of sign, and people just talking about it. And before we knew, we were donating money, and by the next year. So you hear me now?
Yeah,
It was working with a lot of people
with your Wi-Fi. So yeah, folks, yeah, and you guys made it, I assume, like a state monument, you know, because you got state signs and things like that leading folks to knowing where to go to see it, and all that good stuff, as I read.
We had some politicians on our ex-politicians maybe on our board with the connections with the state, and that's how we were able to get there.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. And over behind me on the pictures here, that's what the shirt looks like on the back of it, in the gray there. It's a cool shirt, but it's one of those deals where the money can definitely be used in a good way for going towards that unbelievable monument. It is fantastic. That's on my bucket list. I need to get down there and see that thing.
Yeah, come on down. Not that far.
yeah. Ironically, you're, and I know Gene's a big bass fisherman, and so am I. So we'll have to get together and talk fishing sometime as well. He's got those big hybrid Florida bass that I want to try to go after. They're a lot meaner than the ones here in Tennessee because they have to battle with gators. So you talking about some good fishing. I guarantee you that's some great fishing down there.
Yeah, I got some of those in my lake right here behind the monument.
There you go. There you go. Oh, okay. All right. So I need to pack my rod and reels when I come your way as well. Awesome. Let me ask this as well. I know Dennis is there. I believe Dennis was like was the assistant or the volunteer fire chief or something like that. Is that correct?
Maybe it's correct. In 1977, I was the chief of the local volunteer fire department.
Okay.
Unlike most fire departments, we only had like 10 or 12 guys, 2 little old trucks, no radios, no equipment, nothing. But one of our members actually saw the plane and realized it was extremely too low. Right over the little community of Healdsburg, which is about 3.5 miles south of where the plane actually crashed.
Okay.
We think that's when the pilot made the decision after he talked to Macomb to turn around and head back to the Macomb airport because he was about 55 or 60 air miles from Baton Rouge, and he realized he wasn't going to make it. So he or somebody made the decision to turn around, and they were headed back to Macomb. And
so he had already been over y'all once. And I got you. He had already passed you once and was coming back.
Down this way somewhere.
Gotcha.
That's right, because several people throughout the years have told me they saw the plane literally make a kind of a turn. By then he was losing altitude, and we knew he crashed. A friend of mine called the airport who was on the fire department, and they confirmed that they had a plane in trouble. And we got on the telephone. Of course, all we had was landlines, no cell phone, nothing back then.
Sure.
And was calling some volunteers to come over in this area of 568 and P.P. Wilson Road, because that was the vicinity. And that's when the helicopter showed up about dusk dark about the time we got here. And we saw the helicopter with a giant spotlight. He was from the Corps of Engineers on a training mission out of Vicksburg, Mississippi, or either New Orleans.
Okay.
And they asked him to aid in the search, and he was the unsung hero in the rescue that never gets mentioned, because without him, we could have walked all night and not found it, because there's thousands of acres of wood, timber and stuff. Every now and then,
sure.
A few open pastures, but mostly thick. But once he flew over, it got in this area. It didn't take him 5 or 8 minutes to find it. And once he hovered in midair, we knew
he knew where it was
immediately.
at.
And of course, we drove as close as we get to it in the open field, and then we're able to run through the woods a couple of 100 miles. But I was going to touch on two things that I've heard in the interview.
Yeah.
I was among the first, along with Dwayne, to get inside the plane to help get these people out. And I remember y'all talking about card games a while ago. There were some money, like ones and fives and loose cards all over the area. So we knew they were playing cards shortly before the plane went down. So
Right.
We knew they were card players. We had no idea who they were. I didn't. Back then, I wasn't a hard rock fan. I was a classic country guy. And even once some of the survivors on the plane were able to talk to us, some of them were, I'm going to say, almost unconscious. Some of them could communicate with us, and they said, we're a band from headed to Baton Rouge. It was Thursday night when they said they were headed to Baton Rouge. Before they told us the band, LSU plays Ole Miss once a year. It's the strongest rivalry we got down here. It used to be. And I said they must have been going to the ball game if they was going to Baton Rouge. We couldn't think of no other reason that they'd be going to
Anybody be going to Baton Rouge?
They were. That's right. But we were able to get them out in a decent efficient manner because of who they were. Within 2 or 3 hours, hundreds of people were here. Of course, the ambulances came. Volunteers carried the injured out on stretchers. And then, of course, once we got those out, we took the 4 deceased to Macomb, where they had a morgue set up behind the hospital. The other thing I was going to hit on, once we knew they were the band and we realized how popular we were, for 35 years, we didn't hardly talk about it, and about 2014, somebody started coming up and going to the site on the anniversary. And by 19, we had the monument up, thanks to Dwayne and Lola donating the land mainly. But it has amazed me. I spent a decent amount of time up here. People come from all over the world, all over the United States. I have been fascinated by the following this band has 42, 45 years after they lost, the basic band,
Original guys.
It's just fascinating. And now y'all talking about grown men getting emotional about the songs. We see that here at the monument periodically. It is in a beautiful setting in a little pine thicket on the side of the road. It's open 24 hours a day. It's people, you can really get close to thinking about that if you love that music and love them. And then, of course, sometimes there's a good crowd here, but it's really served the purpose. We got several volunteers that help us keep it up, and we appreciate that. But we just glad to do it, and we did it not for us, not for revenue, just to have something for these people to come. And since we've got the signs on the interstate, that we really, really, I don't know how many thousands of people have been here, but several thousand, and they still coming 45 years later.
Fantastic.
It's been a pleasant experience. I would encourage anybody listening, find Exit 8 on I-55, Interstate 55. We're about 90 miles north of New Orleans and about 300 miles south of Memphis, but we're only 8 miles off interstate. It won't cost you a dime to come look, and I think you'll enjoy it.
I know they will.
It is indeed beautiful, and they are. But we would encourage anybody to come see us. We thank you for inviting us to tell our story, and we'll tell anybody that comes if we're here. We'll tell him, give them a firsthand, at no expense to them. So.
No, what an awesome experience. Oh, and here's something, that's become something positive out of something so terrible. I get, Gene, I'm glad I got to see, that was right on cue. Gene, this question was for you here as we kind of wrap this thing up.
I before I forget.
Here's the thing.
Hold on a minute, I gotta say this.
Ironically, you guys have become great friends through this tragedy.
Yeah. We have become really good friends. And I want to say this quick. Some of that money on the floor was my winning money. I can use that money now.
He didn't win any on our bus.
Now, buddy.
And you and you didn't get it back, I guess.
He lost his money on
He
our
lost
bus.
his money on our bus.
Oh, there you go. Okay, all right.
Listen,
Just like I said, that I think that's the kind of the bright light of the thing is you could still talk memories, even though it's such a tragic thing that happened. What a special gift those people had that they have been able to pass on for so long. What a gift, that they've been able to do that, and for people to help continue that for them. That's just unbelievable to me.
every time I come out here to this monument,
Mm-hmm.
I'm humbled by all those people that come here every day, every weekend. 45 years after his death, he still sells a lot of records. People still love his music, and I'm humbled by what he was and what he left behind. And those other guys on this thing, the tribute bands, those guys, they keep the music alive.
That's right.
And yes, it's hard to play, but cats called Collins and Steve Gaines, they were one of a kind. Ed King, it was a master plan Ronnie put together, and the music they made 45 years later still sells a couple million copies a year. Who does that? The Elvis and the Beatles, and Lynyrd Skynyrd.
That's exactly right.
Go ahead, Dwayne. You want to talk? Go ahead. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Go.
And of course, I was like, oh gosh, this had a birthday. So I was probably about 9 when this happened, I think. Yeah, about 9, something like that. And here's my thing. As a kid, you didn't maybe not realize it as much, but it hits you later on when you're a little older to think about it. How about losing Elvis and the Lynyrd Skynyrd guys in the same year?
Oh, yeah, right.
That you talking about a pretty big kick in the stomach to music. I've thought of that quite often. That man, what a change happened in '77. How about you musician guys? What do you think about that one?
Yeah, it was rough. I was in high school then, and it was tough. Both of them.
Sure. Yeah, just ironic that it happened in the same year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Elvis was on the scene probably close to 30 years, and from the mid 50s to 77. What's fascinated me about Lynyrd Skynyrd, they only were big time. I'm for 4 years. I think about 73 was their first big album, and they're basically gone in 77. Those 4 years to make the impact that
they did.
Elvis, even the Beatles. So I just can't comprehend.
That's a great point.
If they hadn't crashed,
what
could have happened, but to be that famous in 4 years.
That's exactly right.
I just want to bring it up.
Great point. Absolutely great point. Gene, now that we're talking about that for a second, did the Lynyrd Skynyrd guys ever meet Elvis? Or vice versa? Did they ever meet each other?
I
that you know of?
Ran into at a studio. I think they ran into each other at the studio briefly. I don't believe they were close confidants, but I think they bumped into each other briefly one time in the studio.
Isn't that something?
Studio, I don't remember which one it was.
Okay.
Might have been Muscle Show.
How cool is that?
I think so.
Man,
yeah,
what
how cool is that?
If you were a producer, some kind of music technician or whatever, and you have Lynyrd Skynyrd and Elvis Presley in the same building, working in, or not working together, but doing their deal in the same building, that would have been a pretty cool situation for you, I would say.
Sure, certainly.
Unreal.
Like that.
Gentlemen, let's go around as we close it out. And Terry or Steve, whoever of you guys, or both of you, you're more than welcome. Give a shout out how people can listen to you and all that great stuff, and find you and go out live and see you, of course.
Well, we're Steve. We're located in north of Philly, so we're on the
Pennsylvania
on the
area.
East
Sure.
Coast, and when you're based in the little states, you can play a lot of little states, right?
Right.
So we've
You run the East Coast.
yeah. So we've played
Gotcha.
up and down, and so you can find us on Facebook. Just look for High Noon Band, and we have a nice website, highnoonrocks.com.
Yes, you do.
And you can find us there and come see us. Our schedule is posted. We're playing all over the area. So
They are unbelievable. They are just a great group of musicians, along with Kurt and Larry as well, and their bunch. I'm just blown away, guys. First of all, I've said it several times. We as fans of the music appreciate what you do. It's a gift, man. Keep doing what you're doing, because the legacy of that music needs to continue, and it's got to be because of guys like you guys. So we appreciate what you do, that's for sure. You guys out on the West Coast, I think you're in California, if I'm not mistaken. So what y'all got coming up, and how can people follow you and all that great stuff?
Well, our website is turnupfreebird.com.
Right.
Don't ask me how we got lucky enough to get that.
Yeah.
Searching around, I'm like, huh? It was available. So
you lucked it up. Yes, you did.
And it's really nice because, like, bands like High Noon or whatever, you go and we start friending each other on Facebook.
Yeah, sure.
DND, you guys, and we're all a family here.
Yeah.
And we wish each other success. Like, we wish them success. And that's the Skynyrd family. And, the fans, it's incredible. I would love to hear from them one quick story of someone that came up to that.
Sure.
But to me, one thing I will never forget is these two ladies that came to see our show. And they walked up to me and they said, they appreciated it. I guess they liked the show. And one of them looked over at me and said, you guys got they kind of knew what they were talking about. They said they understood. They said, we really love that tone you guys have with the guitars. And one of them looked over at me and looked down at my feet and said, if you'd have been wearing shoes, we'd have left. I went, what? Kurt's always telling me,
you wouldn't been authentic enough.
That's fine, I'll put them on.
Yeah. So they wanted authenticity, didn't they?
That's right. But we've been doing festivals and headlining stuff, Reno, from all the way out to Texas. We've been all over the place.
Yeah,
Iowa,
fantastic.
casinos, and that's because of that name, Lynyrd Skynyrd. But you better show up prepared, and I think High Noon can attest to that. You better show up prepared. We got some of the same players been in the band for 15 years. So they're not really looking for other projects. We all stick together, and it's a beautiful thing. So
yes.
him directing our rehearsals and stuff, it's just been a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for having it.
It's a demonstration of love for what you care about, man. You got a love for it, passion.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Everybody watching here,
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen there in Gillsburg, we can't thank you enough. What an honor. I was so excited when I was able to hook up with you guys and take a few minutes of your time to, share some memories with us. What a special time for you guys to be able to be a part of something so special. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Gene, Dennis.
We never realized at the time that we never realized at the time that we'd be talking about it 45 years later. That's the fascinating part to me. That people, this band was so big a part of their lives.
Absolutely.
And not only their lives, and now they're grandchildren. You know, a lot of people that come to this was not even born in
That's right.
77. So
That's right. Yeah.
it's
Yep.
just their impact on the music industry is just phenomenal. But whatever, we are forced to let them talk about it and come here and see a beautiful monument on
Sure.
behalf of this great band.
Sure. Gentlemen, all of you, we appreciate your time tonight, man. I apologize for some of the technical stuff, man, but it's been a true honor to get to meet and talk to all of you guys. Y'all all have a special gift of what you're doing and what you're continuing to spread. And the best of luck to all of you. The best to your families. Happy holidays and all that good stuff. And
Same to you.
hope to talk to you again in the future sometime. But
For sure.
best to you on your
Absolutely.
travels.
Thank you so much.
Nice
Bye,
to-
everybody.
Bye,
Brother,
brother.
we'll be looking you guys up.
Hey,
we'll look you up too.
and definitely,
All right, brothers,
if
man.
you ever get to the
Rock on.
Nashville way, look us up. We'd enjoy
We
getting to
were
meet you in
just out
person.
there. We were just out there and saw Skynyrd at the Ryman. I was out there.
Oh,
Wow.
fantastic!
Did you happen to hit that show?
I did not.
It
I did
was
not. But
fantastic.
yeah, I knew they were in town, and
Yep.
yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I have
wasn't
seen
gonna-
a
I
couple
wasn't gonna miss that.
couple of shows at the Ryman, and that's a special place to. You
It
know,
is.
it's just the church. You know what I mean?
That's a
It's
holy
just the
grail
church
right
music,
there,
you know?
man.
Yeah.
So it's you definitely need to have the experience of listening to a concert in that place. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a special thing. Guys, appreciate you very much.
All right.
Thanks
Thank you
again.
so much for spending time with us, and we'll have
Thank
it up
you.
for you. And yeah, anything you want us to kind of post and spread for you, we'll be glad to do that.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right,
Take
guys,
care,
that's going to do it for us.
right.
This is another podcast for D&D Dynamite 80s. DH, he was trying to get on there, and I probably kicked him off with the technology stuff or something. So anyway, we winged it and made it happen, and it was a good deal.
Very
Special show. And once again,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate all you guys for joining us in.
Thanks
Thanks.
again.
All right.
Happy
Thanks again.
holidays.
Appreciate it. Happy
Okay.
holidays.